Hello, everybody. This is Julia Campbell. I help nonprofits build their online movements and connect their communities using online tools like social media. Thanks for joining me today. It's Friday, and today we are talking about my top 5 takeaways from the awesome Social Tools Summit that I attended on Wednesday. I moderated a panel, and there are some great takeaways that I think would be useful for nonprofits as they figure out which tools are best to use, how to leverage visual marketing for their social media efforts. All right. What I want to do is I want to start out by asking you a question. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of yeses. Do you struggle with creating interesting visual content for your nonprofit? Now, the word content can mean anything from website posts, blog posts, emails, social media, videos. Do you struggle with visuals and compelling visuals? And if you said yes, you're not alone. We had some Fortune 500 companies in the room at the Social Tools Summit, and I have to be honest, every single person in the room struggles with visual content and creating visual content. So I did want to talk about my panel that I moderated. It was called The Future of Visual Social. And while we all know the importance of using and incorporating visuals in our social media, we tend to think it's inaccessible and something that we can't do. And going into 2018, because we're in Q4 2017, going into the new year, we know, but we don't really know what to do about it. But we do know that a bland photo and a boring caption really doesn't cut it anymore. It doesn't cut it. So especially posting logos, oh no, don't do that. So my advice to the panel, I'll tell you my advice to the panel, and then I'll also tell you my 5 top takeaways. So one thing, number one of the topics that kept coming up through the entirety of the Social Tools Conference was the challenge of getting buy-in, okay? So the challenge of getting buy-in from other employees, buy-in from higher-ups, buy-in from staff members, buy-in from anybody that you're working with on the importance of creating visuals, spending time, whether it's on free tools like Canva or Adobe Photoshop or hiring a graphic designer, whatever it is. Getting buy-in was definitely one of the number one challenges that most people at the Social Tools Summit faced. And there were nonprofits actually at the Social Tools Summit. It was predominantly business owners and entrepreneurs, but there were some people representing nonprofits there. So 3 great ideas that were generated throughout the conference, and I took copious notes because I do know that is something that a lot of my clients and a lot of you out there struggle with. How do you convince your entire office or the program staff or your boss about the importance of focusing a little bit of time and resources on creating visuals? So Kate Hutchinson from Dell EMC, she had a lot to share. She is pretty amazing. Her recommendation was to actually coach staff that are interested, but to coach them on how to become content creators. So what she was saying is that staff, they don't need to be coached on the importance of social media. They don't need to be coached on your mission or your marketing message or your talking points. They know all that, or at least they feel they know all that, but they might not be comfortable being creative. So holding creativity workshops rather than holding like a step-by-step, this is how you send a tweet kind of workshops, holding storytelling workshops and creativity workshops and nurturing people's inherent creativity, because they might not think they have it and they might not understand why it's important to be nurturing that. I thought that was an amazing idea. Heather Dobson from GoDaddy, she suggested, on the other hand, once you're nurturing that creativity, to actually show people how things are done or to encourage them. So to say, hey, wow, this is a really cool initiative that you're doing. It would make a great blog post. Can I interview you? Can I pull out some of those talking points and some of those bullet points for the blog? Or this would make a really great video to share on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn now has video capability, which is so exciting. Or this would be a really good video to share on our Facebook page. I think people would get a lot out of it. So can I talk to you about that and how that might work? So to try to get buy-in, people have to, first of all, understand what you're doing and why you're doing it and why it's important. But as we all know, to really get buy-in from somebody, they need to be involved in the process. This is something I know as a parent. If I continue to just pack my daughter's backpack for her every single day, like I do, because it takes less time, she will never be invested in packing her own snack and putting her homework there and making sure all of her stuff, her library books are there. It's just, she won't be invested in the process. Same thing with cooking. If your children are picky, you can involve them in picking out the ingredients, choosing the recipes, helping measure out the recipe, helping them cook. The same thing goes for social media. If people are skeptical, if people are scared of it, the more they can be involved in not just the content creation process, but the actual technical process, the better. So Heather also said to interview employees rather than constantly be sending out emails and at staff meetings tell people, hey, I really need some content for the blog. I really need some content for my email. I really need some content for Instagram. You might actually have to start pulling it out of people by conducting interviews and physically going to them to pull out the information. So a couple of tips. The third tip, which I thought was really, really wonderful, was to hold office hours. So this could be 1 hour a week that, and probably people won't take you up on this in the beginning, but what I found when I worked at the domestic violence shelter as the development and marketing director was that once people got the feeling for what I was doing, they would start to come into my office and ask me questions like, hey, what do you think about this? Or what do you think is the appropriate use for this? What do you think my LinkedIn title should be? They'll start seeing you as a social media expert and a marketing expert. And if you hold office hours where you can explain to people your new initiatives, maybe your online fundraising campaign, maybe some ways you could get involved, they will come to you and say, hey, I have an initiative, I have a program, I have an event, and I really want to market it well. What advice do you have? Like, how can we work together? Or maybe they just are scared to admit in front of everybody that they don't know how to use Facebook. They don't know how to use LinkedIn. I mean, that's not something that they might want to admit in general companies. So if you have office hours, they can make an appointment, they can come in and they can say, hey, can you show me how to use LinkedIn and how you use it for the organization and how you use it professionally. So look at this as a learning opportunity and look at it as a way to educate people and evangelize around social media. That's sort of how I see it. So what is number two? The number two thing that I learned. Another challenge that I know nonprofits can relate to. I don't have a visual brand. I don't have a sexy company or business or cause. I don't have animals or kittens or people or children, or I'm not Starbucks with coffee. I'm not Nike with shoes. I'm not, I don't know what else. I'm not Oreos with amazing Oreos to sell. My topic is too complicated. I'm a B2B company. My topic doesn't translate well to visual. It's too technical. Those are all challenges that we heard at the Social Tools Summit, especially in our visual social panel. So Stacy Sayer from Advanced Energy, by the way, she works for a company. I looked at their website. I do not know what they do. That's not her fault. It's just, it is very technical. They do power conversion and control technologies. I don't know what that is. But she said, and what I saw on her social media pages that I liked, is they use a lot of animation to explain these dense technical concepts. And she said when she started, she tried to do everything at once and explain everything at once, but it's best just to piece it out. And they create infographics. They work with a graphic designer to create great visual infographics to describe some of the more technical, dense pieces of what they do. So they do try to get creative. But I think if you have a technical and complicated mission and program, visuals are even more important. And I did hear that quite a few times during the summit. Visuals are more important because you don't have the traditional elevator pitch of 30 seconds where someone's going to understand what you do. Okay. So that is number 2. Use animation where you can. Make complicated topics less complicated. The third, which we heard repeatedly at the summit, use live streaming. We all know that I love live streaming. I try to go live at least once a week. I really enjoy it for myself. But live video does get more reach and more engagement than native video. That's whether it's on Instagram or YouTube, whether it's on Periscope or Facebook, it gets more reach, it gets more engagement. At the end of the day, that's the reality. I'm sure there's something else that's going to come out in 2018, 360-degree live streaming, augmented reality, virtual reality. We touched on these at the summit, but live streaming seems to be a really great touch point and a way to humanize your brand. And Michael Derwin from Skillsoft, his number 1 tip about using live streaming is just to be opportunistic. Be opportunistic. Get a good phone. Maybe get a little lavalier mic that you can connect to your phone with a USB so that you ensure that the sound is good. And think like a journalist. When you're at conferences or events or just sitting in your office, think about what would make a good live video. And live videos today do not have to be long. It used to be that live streaming videos, the best practice was for it to be 30 minutes to an hour to let people jump on live. Now, I try not to do a video over 15 minutes. It's just too long. People don't watch a video over 15 minutes, let's be real. They probably don't even watch a video over 10 minutes, maybe not even over 5 minutes. So it doesn't have to be this long, sprawling video. There does have to be a reason for you to go live, but it can be impromptu, it can be spontaneous, and we need to be more spontaneous and impromptu in our businesses and in our nonprofits. So the number 4 major takeaway, everyone across the board, Fortune 500 companies to tiny little shops, do one thing well rather than doing 7 things half-assed. Always, always, always. Pick your channel, especially if you are on a shoestring budget with little to no staff. So Jody Krasner Gladstein, she works at the Institute of Coaching at McLean Hospital. She is their first marketing person. They've never had a marketing person. I know that it's a lot of you. I know that describes a lot of you in the same boat. How does she get buy-in and do great stuff on a budget? So the first thing is she does one thing really well or 2 things really well. She's not trying to be everywhere and do everything. She uses free tools like Canva to make social media graphics. And she understands the unique advantages of each platform and what goes on each platform and what works well on each platform, and treats them like individual countries rather than just cutting and pasting and splashing out the same content and recycling it on each platform. So the number 5 takeaway, and this is probably the most important one, take risks, okay? Marketing is about getting your organization noticed, right? So Michael Derwin said, marketing means making your brand stand out. At the end of the day, that's what marketing means. If your brand doesn't stand out, then you are not doing marketing correctly. That means taking risks, using some of these tools, being an early adopter, jumping on some of these trends, and taking risks. You're not going to take risks with your message. You're not going to take risks with your brand voice. But if you go on Facebook Live and it completely bombs, no one is going to fault you for that. And also, it's just going to be a learning experience for the next time. But if you go on Facebook Live and it's really great, and then someone notices you, and then they share it, and then it's the snowball effect, then that's a wonderful opportunity to show that you're on top of the trends and you're trying to get seen. This is so challenging for nonprofits because we have been taught not to take risks, not to take opportunities, just to keep with the status quo, just to keep doing what we're doing and put our head in the sand. And marketing does not work if you are not continually willing to put yourself out there, get out of your comfort zone, and take risks, okay? So make a deal with yourself today. What is one tool you're going to use that involves taking a little bit of a risk before the end of this year? I want to put that challenge out to you. So in terms of what I have for you today, I have 2 new posts up on the blog, 8 tips for a profitable Giving Tuesday campaign. Check that one out. and some musings on the future of visual social, along with my top tips on specific ways to incorporate visuals into your online marketing, specifically written for nonprofits. So check that out, jcsocialmarketing.com/blog. So it's a short one today, people, 15 minutes. Like I said, I just like to keep it short and sweet. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I hope you have something really fun planned. I'd love to hear from you. So check out the blog, send me an email, write in the comments, find me on Twitter, whatever you need to do to ask me your question. Tell me your challenges, tell me your struggles, and I will address them hopefully in the next Facebook Live video. So thanks again, and have a great rest of your week. Cheers.